Hi, my name is Nick Salgia. I'm currently a Morrison Tower RA, and this is my application for the Spring 2019 in-service. So for this spring's in-service, I do plan on presenting just a traditional TED Talk, standing on a stage, walking around, talking to the audience, as well as using a modality, typically PowerPoint is what I would like to use. And during this time, I'll be presenting on neuroplasticity. As crazy as that might sound for a Res Life TED Talk, hear me out on the practicality and its application. So for neuroplasticity, what we often see is with the loss of one sensory modality, i.e. hearing or touch or taste, your brain atrophies in those areas, but other sensory modalities can then come in and develop connections in there to further immigrate towards those areas that had been lost. And so this relates back to the theme of voices and the idea that what happens when you lose your voice. We're here talking about how did I find my voice? How do you use your voice? But we often forget what happens when you don't have a voice. And in particular, what happens when you momentarily lose your voice, whether it's through sickness, whether it's through fear, disgust, anger, you lose the inability to process your thoughts, think, come up with a coordinated idea. What happens, right? Neuromechanically, you have this new integration. The efficacy as a person, though, in these very temporary transient loss of speeches, is that doesn't happen. But my goal is to connect that same neural mechanism idea to this generic thought process that we all have when, say, we lose our voice when we're sick and we are trying to get food, or we're trying to get aspirin or ibuprofen to lower our fever, or what happens when our resident shares something absolutely shocking with us and we can't even think of a way to formulate a response because we just don't know what to do. How do we respond when we lose our voice? And so most importantly, although I won't be singing a song, dancing a dance, anything like that, I'll be sharing my experiences in Res Life, my experiences as an individual when I've lost my voice. So for instance, my first year here as in Res Life was my second semester sophomore year as a mid-year hire. And I was placed on a floor with a group of males with very different mindsets than mine and very different mindsets from each other often as well. And so at times when they were antagonistic towards each other, I wasn't necessarily as sure-footed in my position as I may be now. And I lost my voice. What did I do? Let's just say my other sensory modalities picked up. And most importantly, I didn't touch them, right? I didn't taste them. But what I did is I listened to them. My hearing took the place of my voice. And from there, you're able to gather the new ideas, the ideas of these other people. You may not agree. You may not fully support their ideas, but you hear where they're coming from. And from there, during that time, during that processing, you can help to grow the strength in your voice by growing the strength of your information. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about during this in-service if selected. For example, of course, my introduction I'll share with you right now. Hi everybody, my name's Nick. Welcome to Neuroscience 3000, where I'll be lecturing about neuroplasticity and the role of sensation in the brain. And of course I kid with you, I'm not here to teach you a lecture about the neural mechanisms underlying your auditory canal or your vestibulocochlear system, right? You don't need to know the 12 cranial nerves. But what I am here to talk about is what happens when you lose a sensation. What happens when you lose your voice? What happens? What else is going to pick up and account for that loss of sensation and loss of motor function? I'm here to convince you tonight that the sensation that should be taking over in your brain, in your parietal cortex, in those somatosensory areas, is your hearing. Because when you hear, and when you truly listen, you learn. And learning is the most important part of our role as RAs. It's the most important part of our role as community facilitators, dialogue enforcers, whatever we may be in our time. Our role is to listen. And our role, more importantly, is to learn. Let me tell you a story of when I was sick as a kid. I had a scratch in my throat, developed a pneumonia. I couldn't talk for 3 days. But I was able to get my needs met. Just like Pavlov's dogs would respond to bells, I had a bell that my mom, so kind and caring as she was, would respond to anytime I needed soup or anytime I needed tea or more medication. Learning to listen and listen to the right cues is the important part of helping the people around you. And although you may lose your voice, you never do lose the opportunity to listen. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy my application. Have a great day. Bye.